Chairperson and colleagues, could I firstly congratulate Alex White on the progressive and positive work he's been doing since his appointment, and express my sadness that he wasn't appointed a bit earlier. Fluoride was added to water in Ireland in the 1960s when I didn't have a supply of running water or a toothbrush. It's a form of mass, compulsory, permanent medication in every public water supply in the country. There's a recognition that there is a very strict limit on the amount of fluoride that should be taken in or ingested by any human being, and there are effects recognised if it goes beyond that. But the means of actually delivering this medicine to the public is most unscientific. There's no means of measuring the amount of water we drink. It varies from person to person, or the amount of tea, or indeed maybe even last night, the amount of coffee or alcohol drink or beer that we drank. You're taking in fluoride every time you do that. I think it's the most unscientific way of taking a substance that is recognised as being dangerous if it goes beyond certain limits. So I think the time has run out for this form of mass medication. And I will ask Alex White, and I'm prepared to refer this motion back to Alex White to allow him to examine this matter now and to see if the conditions that existed in the 60s when we introduced this method, and in fact when there was very different forms of government at the time, shortly after the Second World War, very different forms of government, that we ask Alex White to look at this now again and see, in fact, if the fears that people have about this are founded, if it's necessary to continue doing this, if it would be better to give everybody a toothbrush and some toothpaste with fluoride in it rather than this form of mass medication. So I'll ask that maybe the motion might be referred back. And finally, let me say this. I'm not very worried about my teeth at this stage of my life, but I am a bit worried about my bones. And I think that the long-term view of this particular medication should be taken into account in that way. So again, I'd ask that it be referred to Alex White. Thank you.
Thank you, Emmet. I have two speakers indicating against the motion. I ask them to be very brief. Pádraig McLaughlin